Well, it's chapter 8 and it's entitled Unicorn Magic. Really already? God, you gotta be kidding me. Anyway, Lisa. Skip. Quit it! Lisa let me know that the end of this chapter involves a very angry Starloom and Silver Spoon. For some reason, this makes me happy. I know what's gonna happen. I've not read it, but I just know what's gonna happen. Starbloom and Silver Spoon are gonna have a dual shower scene. Because Lisa swerved me. I'm over here thinking she's gonna beat her up. Nope, they're gonna have a dual shower scene. Guarantee it! Let's find out. Bill Cosby time. Starbloom spent the evening practicing various tricks with her magic. She quickly learned, however, that she couldn't remember how to perform all of her spells. Levitation was easy enough, but almost all unicorns could do that. However, she couldn't teleport or do any of the other magic as she had worked hard on learning. It's odd. I can't do some of these spells. I don't understand it, Starbloom said, pacing around the main hobby of the library. Spike was watching Starbloom quietly as she paced and talked to herself. Maybe the spells were tied to your cutie mark? Spike suggested as he tried to be helpful. Starbloom paused for a minute to consider the idea, before she looked over at him and shook her head. I don't think so, Spike. I know cutie marks is tied to a pony's special talent, but I don't really think spells are linked to it. She sighed and sat down to think. The situation was pretty unique, so it was hard to say if what Spike suggested had merit or not. She considered what it meant if what he said was correct. If losing my cutie mark did cause me to lose the majority of my spells, what else did I lose? She wondered out loud. Don't worry about it, Starbloom. I'll help you learn some new spells, Twilight said to her as she came out of the kitchen after cleaning up the dinner dishes. You went through something pretty traumatic, and was cut off from your magic for a while. Besides, you're a filly now. The use of an age regression spell in this way has never been done before. Starbloom sighed again, but knew that Twilight was right about that. The trauma she went through, and being cut off from her magic for as long as she had been, was pretty hard on her. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath, thinking before she looked over at Twilight. You're right, Twilight. When I was this age, all I knew was levitation. That could be why it's all I remember now, Starbloom said, smiling, yawning softly, and shaking her head lightly. Twilight smiled at her and giggled softly. I think it's bedtime for bed, Twilight said, urging Starbloom upstairs to her room. Starbloom didn't protest. She was pretty worn out, so she headed upstairs to her room. Good night, Starbloom. Sleep well. Good night, Twilight, Starbloom replied, opening the door to her room and goes to bed. Her lack of being able to remember spells still bothered her, but she was too tired to think about it and went to sleep quickly. Spike looked up at Starbloom, watching her quietly as she went to bed before looking over at Twilight before speaking. Do you really believe it's her age limiting her magic and remembering her spells? Spike asked, which Twilight shook her head no to. I don't think so, Spike. Magic doesn't work that way. You don't get spells as you get older. You learn them, much like you learn anything. Honestly, her magic is different now. Not just the fact it goes through her gem now, Twilight said, taking a seat in the cushion and looking out the window. It's weaker. Maybe half of what it used to be. Part of that is her age, lack of a cutie mark and horn. For the most part, it's just been lost to her, since she isn't the element of magic anymore. Spike looked confused for a few minutes before looking at Twilight. Are you saying your connection to the elements of magic boosts your magic? He asked her. It was hard to believe, but it also made sense. She looked over at Spike and nodded to him before starting to explain. Yeah, I believe so. It's a theory I came up with a while back shortly after beating Nightmare Moon. My magic has always been strong, but it increased a lot after I gained the element of magic. Like when I suddenly teleported with you to escape from the ponies chasing us for the gala tickets. That's when I started to develop my theory. Spike considered what she said for a few moments. What you're saying is that each element boosts the holder's natural element? Like Applejack's honesty, Pinky's ability to make others laugh, Rainbow Dash's loyalty, Ravy's generosity, and Fluttershy's kindness, and your magic? And your magic? Twilight gave him a nod, smiling. Spike continued. So now that she has lost connection, she's back to how strong she was as a filly? He asked, still sounding a little unsure of the idea. I believe so, Spike. Her magic is still strong for a unicorn, but not as strong as it used to be. Honestly, I don't think she'll be able to perform a lot of the old magic she learned. Twilight said with a sad look on her face. The prospect was a little depressing for her. Spike could tell the idea was upsetting Twilight, and he hugged her lightly. Don't worry, Twilight. I know she'll overcome this. She's just like you after all, he said, looking up at her in smiles. Twilight smiled at Spike and gave him a soft hug back, nodding. I know, Spike. She'll be just fine. She moved her to her hooves. Come on. It's late. We should get to bed as well, she said, heading upstairs to her room. She stopped to check in on Starbloom, using her magic to fix the covers before heading to her room. Good night, Spike. Spike followed her to the room and got into his own bed, getting under the covers. Good night, Twilight. Morning. Starbloom awoke the next morning, studying up, rubbing her eyes with her hooves, looking around and yawning. It was later than she expected. She rolled off the bed and pulled her headband on, adjusting it so the gem was over the gray patch on her forehead, before she remembered today was Monday. Oh, horse apples! I'm late for school! She quickly raced downstairs, looking around, using her magic to grab her saddlebags and slinging them across her back, not taking the time she normally does to brush her mane. What? Starbloom, don't swearing! Twilight called her from the kitchen. What is all this ruckus about, anyways? She asked as she poked her head from the kitchen and looked at Starbloom as scrambled around the main hall of the library to get ready. I overslept and I'm going to be late for school. Miss Shirley already scolded me for that before, Starbloom said as she made sure she had everything ready, quickly passing a brush through her mane and tail with her magic to at least make it presentable. Don't forget you need to be at my school 2 hours before it lets out for Family Apparition Day as well. It's fun to say that. Starbloom reminded Twilight. Twilight nodded at Starbloom and smiles and almost choked. Wait, that's today? I totally forgot about that with everything that's happened over the weekend. Hurry on to school, Starbloom. I'll be sure to be there on time with something to tell the class. Something. Twilight. Not Twilight, Twilight, there's no T. Twilight told Starbloom. Starbloom just sighed softly but nodded, making her way outside quickly and galloped quickly through town on the way to the school, hoping to make it there before the bell rang. She made it through the door and inside, panting hard just as the bell finally bell rang. Sorry, Miss Shirley. I overslept. It won't happen again, Starbloom said, trying to catch her breath. She made her way to her seat, pulling her saddlebags next to her, and took her seat. Seriously, stop. Excuse me. She used her hooves instead of magic, deciding to keep it a secret for now, at least until she told her friends about it. It's okay, Starbloom. You made it inside before the bell rang, so you're not late. But do try to be more on time, please. A few of the other kids in the class giggled, but Miss Shirley quieted them down before starting her lesson for the day. Starbloom did her best to pay attention, but was finding it hard to concentrate. She hadn't considered it before, but now she wondered if her friends would accept her now that she could perform magic again. As far as they knew, she was just an earth pony who grew up in Canterlot. But now she was a unicorn, didn't have a horn, and was augmenting magic power through an enchanted headband. Afternoon rolled around and class went out for lunch. The girls made their way outside into the table they normally sat in. Since she had been in a hurry, Starbloom didn't have a lunch that the three shared with her. Sweetie Belle spoke up first. Hey, Starbloom, what's with the headband? Did you hurt yourself? Applebloom Scootaloo looked at Sweetie Belle first before looking at Starbloom and noticed a woven silver headband peeking under her bangs. Applebloom spoke next before Starbloom had a chance to say anything. Sweetie Belle, that ain't a band, it's just a headband, like for exercising and stuff. Starbloom held up her hooves to stop them before they could continue so she could speak. Girls, please. It's not an exercising headband or a bandage. It's a special headband that Rarity and Twilight made for me yesterday, she said and took a deep breath. I have something important to tell you, so I need you to listen, okay? She asked them. The three Crusaders got quiet and looked at each other before looking back at Starbloom and nodded before Applebloom spoke. All right, Starbloom. You got our attention. We'll listen carefully to what you got to tell us. Starbloom wasn't sure if she's ready for this, but she didn't have much of a choice now. She closed her eyes and took another deep breath, relaxing herself. She opened her eyes and looked at her friends. I'm not really an earth pony. I'm sure you've noticed I'm not as strong as Applebloom or as fast as Scootaloo. I'm a unicorn, but I lost my horn in an accident, which is part of the reason I'm here in Ponyville as well. The headband allows me to use my magic again. She said, looking at the three, trying to judge her reaction, but just before any of them had time to react, a familiar voice chimed in from the right, bringing glares from all the Crusaders at the table. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Isn't that just... how am I supposed to... Isn't that a nice little story, Blank Flank? It was Silver Spoon speaking this time. Diamond Tiara was there as well, but she's too fucking scared. But she had been trying to avoid eye contact with Starbloom and acting more timid. What would make it better if you were really an alicorn princess with no wings or horn? Silver Spoon continued while giggling. Starbloom growled loudly, and the gem on her headband flared brightly, chasing her mane to ripple around her head. The necklace around Silver Spoon's neck slipped off her head and floated overhead just out of reach. I am not a liar, Starbloom said. Her eyes took a faint purple aura, and a small hole appeared in the space behind the necklace, and she flung the necklace through the hole, causing it to disappear along with the necklace. Her mane settled back down in the glow around her eyes, and the gem disappeared, though she seemed to be in a daze as she locked eyes with Silver Spoon, making her freeze in place and a real look of pure fear come over her. Starbloom! Hearing her name get called snapped her out of her daze, and she shook her head and looked around, seeing Ms. Cheerly standing next to her. Excuse me. Silver Spoon freed from the gaze and ran quickly back into the school. The rest of the school fillies just stared at her with a mix of awe and fear. Excuse me. Even the Cutie Mark Crusaders just stared. I think you should head home. You and Twilight can do Family Appreciation Day tomorrow, alright? What about Family Apparition Day? That's not the same thing. Yes, Miss Cheerly. I'm so sorry, Miss Cheerly, Starbloom said on the verge of tears. She looked at her friends before she quickly ran back home, whimpering, softly leaving her saddlebags in the classroom. Once she'd reached the library, she used her magic to open the door and quickly ran upstairs, ignoring Spike when she asked what happened and why she was home early. She went to her room and tossed her headband across the room and flopped on her bed to cry. Aw. Take a shower, it'll make you feel better. Twilight opened the door and came into Starbloom's room, seeing the headband on the floor across the room and Starbloom sobbing into her pillow. It didn't take her long to figure out something happened at school involving her magic. She trotted over to the bed and sat next to it. Starbloom, tell me what happened, please, so I can help, Twilight said, softly reaching over and rubbing the filly's back, gently trying to soothe her. Starbloom smiled, sniffled softly and looked over at Twilight, rubbing her eyes with a hoof, resting her head in her pillow. I was telling Applebloom, Scootaloo, and Sweetie Belle about being an owl unicorn, and Silver Spoon called me a liar. So kill her! She started and sniffled a bit more, continuing. I attacked her with my magic before I knew what happened. I locked my gaze on her, freezing her in her place, took her necklace and threw it into my world. I don't know why. I just didn't like her calling me a liar. I'm scared my friends hate me now. Or worse, are scared of me. Miss Cheerly sent me home and said tomorrow we can do the Family Appreciation Day. Twilight sat quietly and listened to what Starbloom told her, softly rubbing the filly's back with a hoof to keep her calm. I'm sure your friends will understand and won't be scared of you or hate you. As for your outburst, I think it'll be best if you apologize to Silver Spoon tomorrow. No! It's her fault, the little bitch. God. Can't we all just take showers and get along? Twilight said, leaning over and kissing her forehead. I think a relaxing bath and some rest will do you good, alright? Yes, I agree! Do 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 boo 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 bow 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 bow. Starbloom, get naked now. Starbloom, get naked now. Aw, crap. The chapter's almost over, and there's no indication of a freaking shower scene. God dang it. Starbloom nods at Twilight softly and smiles, feeling better. Moving, she gets her headband and puts it on the hook near her bend before going to the bathroom to take a hot bath to help relax her body and soothe her mind. It had been a troubling day and she needed to relax. One thought did cross her mind. What happened to Silver Spoon's necklace when she threw it into her world? That sucks. Author's note. My personal thought about what happened to the necklace after she threw it into the other world and landed on Sweetie Belle's horn. Because it's a funny thought. I'm not laughing. I wanted the shower scene. Also, sorry for the really long wait in this chapter. I had no idea what to write, but Fred2266's YouTube readings had pushed me to start on this story again. Well, you're welcome! You wanna butter me up after you didn't give me a shower scene? I don't think so. That ain't how it works! I inspire you. You inspire my eternal psyche by giving me a shower scene! What the fuck? How does this work? Oh no, there ain't no shower scene today. The clock strikes midnight. Nobody's out to play. Might as well go to bed, kiddies, 'cause there won't be a shower scene today. Why? Why do you do this? Why do you do this to me?
I wanted a shower scene! Ah.
I am reborn once again!